Peace. We're back for another show. This is episode 134. This is Poe, and hopefully we have some guests today. Hopefully my co-host will join me today. But the show must go on regardless. Let's see what YouTube is doing. Give me a second. Come on, YouTube, boot up. All right, we good. We good with YouTube. All right, so we got things to unpack or things to talk about. I always say that. But all right, let me see. In a second. Let's see, give me a second. All right. All right, we're going to talk about why a survey matter over a patch. It's not I'm not only talking about that. I got a lot of topics I want to talk about, but I want to talk about the survey now before I get interrupted. All right. Why a survey matters more than another patch. A survey is the only scalable way to separate loud opinions from measurable trends. Developers frequently claim they listen to feedback yet avoid the one tool that actually quantifies it. Patch notes are not dialogue, surveys are. You hear that? Patch notes are not dialogue, surveys are. Without surveys, companies end up reacting to Discord arguments, Twitter pile-ons, influencers' hot takes, internal assumptions. None of these represent the silent majority. The silent majority of players. A survey creates accountability because once results exist, they can't be hand waved away. Surveys don't slow development, they prevent misdirection. If a studio is confident in its design direction, a survey should confirm it, not threaten it. Avoiding surveys suggests fear of answers. See what I'm saying? Avoiding surveys suggests fear of answers, not workload concerns. Question: why is a formal survey more important than form feedback or social media replies? Because forms and social media rewards extremes. Surveys capture patterns, priorities, and trade-offs across thousands of players, not just the loudest ones. Why do why do game companies prefer engagement over surveys? Engagement is vague and controllable. Surveys produce data that can challenge internal narratives. It challenges internal narratives. What kind of questions should a boxing game survey actually ask? Questions about systems, not cosmetics. Preferred realism versus assistance level. Importance of footwork, clinching, referees. Tolerance for complexity. willingness to use sliders and presets, offline versus online priorities, computer versus computer interests, simulation depth versus accessibility options. Why haven't content creators collectively pushed for a survey? Because creators are often siloed. Each speak to their own audience instead of acting as a unified signal. Each speak to their own audience instead of acting as a unified signal. We need y'all, man. We need y'all to come together at least for this survey. So we can't let Steel City think for us. We can't let the investors think for us. We can't let the publishers think for us. When the content creators use their voices and their platforms to get a survey and get what we really want instead of the companies pushing what they want on us and say that's what y'all really want. That no, we don't need that. We don't need that. The game will be more successful if you see what fans as a majority want. Because y'all keep pushing that narrative that realism don't sell. Y'all pushing that narrative that the hardcore fans are the minority. Let's see. Prove it. Where's the data? Where is the data? All right. Why does unity among creators matter more than an individual criticism? One creator can be ignored. 10 creators asking the same thing becomes a problem a studio can't dismiss. You see what I'm saying? One creator can be ignored. 10 creators asking the same thing becomes a problem a studio can't dismiss. A studio, the publisher, the investors, they can't dismiss. It's like y'all kind of scared. Prove your power. Just do it. Prove your power. Let the fans know that you have their best interests. Y'all have more power than y'all actually know. Y'all have a lot of power. What's the risk of creators not coming together? Developers cherry pick feedback that supports existing decisions and label everything else as a minority opinion. How does a survey protect developers as well? It gives them evidence when pushing back against publishers, investors, or internal pressure to oversimplify. I was told these days, that's why we said, y'all can call me old all y'all want or any of these things. I get information. I talk to people. Y'all be guessing, or y'all feel, or the developer said they can't do this. Stop, man. That's old. That's 10, 20 years ago. And what makes it so bad, y'all the young people that's saying this stuff more than the older people. Y'all should be like, hey, we got technology. We're the younger generation. We got better technology. Y'all should be pushing that narrative. Because they're going to keep telling y'all, we can't do it. Companies are saying that 10, 20 years ago. You can do it now. The technology exists. I'm telling you, the technology exists. A developer come up here and challenge me. Y'all could come and challenge me. Any of y'all could challenge me, and I will bring the proof 100%. If you read my blogs, you will see all the evidence of what can be done. And everything can be done in a game. I be hearing people still saying, well, this can't be done. Yes, it can. It can. Why do companies often say we already know what players want? Because y'all give them that confidence. And they saying that to make you accept that. Because assumptions are faster than verification. Because assumptions are faster than verifications, but also far more dangerous long term. What happens when design decisions are made without survey data? You get reactionary patches, mixed messaging, and players arguing with each other over. You get players arguing with each other instead of the design. People argue with each other instead of the way the game is designed. Let me see if anybody popped up in the chat. What's up, Mike Adams? What's up, Lamont Davis? Appreciate y'all popping in, man. Appreciate y'all. Can a survey stop the arcade versus sim argument? It reframes it. Instead of arguing ideology, players answer questions about options, sliders, and presets. Why is this especially important for boxing games? Boxing fans are not a monolith. A survey exposes distinct player archetypes instead of forcing one design path. What role should content creators play beyond opinions? Coordination, amplification, consistency, asking for the same tool, not pushing separate agendas. Not pushing separate agendas. What does a united creative message sound like? Simple and repeatable. We're not asking you to change the game today. We're asking you to ask the players. We're not asking you to change the game today. We're asking you to ask the players. Why would a survey rebuild trust faster than new features? Why would a survey rebuild trust faster than new features? Because it signals humility. Players forgive missing features more easily than being ignored. Players forgive missing features more easily than being ignored. What's the long-term danger if surveys never happen? What is the long-term danger if surveys never happen? The studio ends up designing for an imaginary audience while alienating the real ones. The studio ends up designing for an imaginary audience while alienating the real one. A survey isn't a demand, it's an invitation. Content creators need to agree on solutions. No, content creators don't need to agree on solutions, only on asking the right questions. Boxing games don't fail from lack of passion. They fail from lack of structured listening. One patch changes mechanics. One survey changes direction. If companies truly believe in community-driven development, the survey is the test. Why surveys threaten comfort, not creativity? Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Y'all just listening. All right. Give me a second. Surveys don't threaten developers who are experimenting. They threaten developers who are locked into assumptions. A studio avoiding surveys is often protecting internal consensus, not the game. Boxing games suffer more than other sports titles because their audience are knowledge fragmented. Casual fans, hardcore boxing fans, some players, competitive players. Without surveys, all of those groups get collapsed into one imaginary average player. Content creators unintentionally reinforce this by speaking about players instead of with them. A survey exposes uncomfortable truths. Some players want complexity and will accept losses. Some players want presets, not simplification. Some players don't care about online balance at all. Some of that fits neatly into marketing slogans. Surveys shift power away from vibes and towards evidence. Evidence changes roadmaps. Evidence changes roadmaps. Why do studios say surveys slow development? Because reacting to real data requires reevaluating priorities. That's not slow, it's inconvenient. Why do developers prefer ongoing feedback instead of a single large survey? Because fragmented feedback can be filtered. A large survey creates a snapshot that's harder to reinterpret. What's the difference between feedback and insight? Feedback is opinion. Insight is pattern recognition across thousands of responses. Why do patch-driven games rely on trial and error instead of player research? Because patches can be rolled back quietly. Surveys results live forever. Why are boxing games communities especially vulnerable without surveys? Because infighting replaces structure. Players argue with each other instead of being heard collectively. What happens when surveys are only sent to Discord or insiders? You sample loyalty, not diversity. That's not research, that's a confirmed bias. Why does the "we heard you" phrase frustrate players so much? Because it acknowledges emotion without acknowledging priority. Should surveys results be made public, at least partially? I think no, not even partially. I think we should get the whole results. If you got names, you hide the names, but we should get the whole results. Transparency builds trust, even when changes are immediate. Why do investors actually why do investors actually benefit from surveys? Because surveys reduce risk. See, you see what I'm doing when I keep talking about the survey and stuff. It makes the investors. It proves to the investors that they're dealing with things that worked 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But with a survey, it proves to them that people had advanced. Their mindset has advanced. And they will invest more money. They will let Steel City do, and that's crazy. They will let Steel City do things that fans really want. And that's crazy. It's Ash Company, but they gotta let him do things. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. All right. Why do investors actually benefit from surveys? Because surveys reduce risk. They show demand segmentations instead of guessing market size. I be telling y'all that a lot of y'all be saying Poe just be making up stuff. What's up, I'm Precisely? What's up, the boxing therapist? Appreciate y'all popping in. Hit the like button, please. So investors, they will give Steel City more room to do things that fans want, or they will demand what the investors want and demand what. That's why I be trying to tell y'all. A lot of y'all so against the surveys. Surveys do work. And it will prove to the investors that they're wrong. It will prove to Steel City that they're wrong. They're trying to force things on us that we don't want. The game will sell better with a survey. and this survey that I'm asking for is not only for Steel City, it's for other companies. Other companies want me to, they've been asking me for a survey. And my thing is they're not going to back it unless you probably get 100 or 200 people to sign the survey. I can't get that many so far. I think the one that I made, I think I got 45. That's not going to, a company going to get excited about that. But if I get 100 or 200 or more, or if a company actually make a survey, that brings attention to the survey. They say, all right, I see what the fans want. I see where they stand at. Now we can easily not be scared of our money being lost. That's the whole thing. I think like chess. You put these things in place, and it makes a company like, yeah, all right, I can make money off of this. See, I know what they want because it's collective. That's why we saying the content creators, they have to join together. They have to. One voice might not do it. One voice could do it. Why is boxing uniquely suited for modular design revealed through surveys? Because boxing styles, rule sets, pacing, and presentation are naturally configurable. Players already understand variations. All right. Are creators afraid to push for surveys because of access concerns? Sometimes, but access without influence is just proximity. Excuse me. Why is waiting to see how it turns out a weak position? I hate that. Wait, you should wait. Let them make the game. Wait for it to see how it turn out. No, we got to hit them early and now. We got to get a survey out early and now. Not wait and see what they're going to do. The developers are not boxing fans. They refuse to do watch videos. They refuse to bring boxers in there. We have to say, hey, bring boxers back in there on a survey. We gotta be proactive so we can get the game that we want. We can't keep waiting and keep accepting things like this. Why is waiting to see how it turns out a weak position? Because by the time outcomes are visible, core systems are already locked. I knew this from the EA days. They used to be like, yo, early, make sure if y'all got wishes or anything, try to get them in early. I knew the pattern. I knew what time to put stuff in. I will make a wish list for a game that if they made it, I will make the wishes because I knew they pattern with EA. Once I learned it, he's like, yo, get the ideas in. And Brizzle kept me on top of that. Send me the wish list. And I was like, all right, even though he only put 5% of it in the game. All right, let me get back to this because EA triggers me just like Still City. Can small creators still matter in this effort? Yes. Survey scale influence. 10 small creators pointing to the same request matter more than one large voice arguing alone. AJ Pax is in the house. What's the danger of creators acting as unofficial spokesperson? They absorb frustration meant for studios and unintentionally shield decision makers. Let me see something. You in there, AJ?
Yes, I'm just listening to you.
There you go. Okay. What does effective?
I just came on to say one thing. I was researching this now, and I'll just bring it up quickly afterwards.
Okay. I'm gonna do two more, and then I'll let you get on.
Yeah.
What does effective creator unity actually look like? Same message, same week, same framing, no ultimatums, no personal attacks, just process, pressure. What a boxing game survey should include is how much boxing experience do you have? Watching, training, casual. Do you prefer learning systems or being guided by assists? Are you willing to lose while learning? Do you enjoy watching CPU versus CPU matches? Would you accept higher difficulty in exchange for authenticity? How important is referee behavior to immersion? How often do you play offline versus online? Will presets plus sliders satisfy different play styles? These questions reveal player psychology, not just preference. All right, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. A little off topic, but so you remember the last couple of times we keep on asking about who's the current gameplay director or the gameplay director, and who's going to be the future one, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of times, Jay, he keeps on saying, "Oh, they made this announcement, right? They made this announcement, and we just kind of fish for the information." But every time I looked at the announcement, I was like, "There's no gameplay director. There is nobody. The only person that would be closest to what they're saying is the gameplay." But I said those are managerial positions; those are not gameplay directors. So I said, let me pick one of these. Let me go on AI and pick its brain. You know. And what I asked it was, well, who would be a better gameplay designer for Undisputed? Because I was having a conversation with, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the number one choice was Brian Hayes because of his work on the Fight Night series, right?
Yeah.
But then the two other recommendations he made, or the AI made, was Clive Moody, who is and here's and why you laughing about Clyde? What do you know about him?
Because he's on the team.
He's on it. Well, here's the thing. So he was it's saying that Clyde Moody, yeah, he's on the team. He's the VP of product development, and he was appointed back in April 2025. But right away, I said, well, I've been saying these are not gameplay directors. These are guys who are managing, like they're managers.
Yeah,
nothing to do with gameplay thing, right?
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, and then the other person they made mention to was a guy named where is it? Tim Coop.
Oh yeah.
But again, Tim Coop is he's the what do you call it? The studio, the head of studio. Again,
yeah.
These are managers. These are not the same thing. So when I started reading these responses the AI has given me, it clicked in my head what Jay was saying after, because I think Jay's just he's just probably pulling some of his answers off the AI, and he's not doing his research after. Because if he did his research, he would realize these are not gameplay directors. These are, as I said, these are guys who are holding managerial positions. That's what they do, right? But here's the thing now, and I knew this already from our conversations before. I knew who these guys and what they do, right? So based on the answer they gave me, I disagreed with the AI, and that's one of the great things. Where you could have an argument with the AI, right?
Yeah.
I didn't disagree about Brian Haynes, but I told the AI flat out. I said, you're mistaken. Clive Moody is more of a management figure. And Tim Koo is also a management figure. These are not gameplay directors, right?
Yeah.
The AI bot responds back to me and tells me you are correct. And I apologize for mischaracterizing their roles. My previous response inaccurately conflated management positions with hands-on gameplay direction. So so this is like, and for anyone said, this is a good thing too. Like, you have to argue there, because the AI has some kind of intelligence that it could sit down and say, it can have that conversation, debate with you, right?
Yeah.
And it goes on to say, Clyde Moody, VP of Product Development, and Tim Coop, Head of Studio Operations, are executive and senior management figures focused on the overall studio structure, product delivery, and business operations, and not the intricate moment-to-moment mechanics of the gameplay itself.
That you should have asked it, which I should have did. Did Will Kinsler's job title get absorbed into something different?
I didn't even get what I didn't ask it that, because I just know, I know Will is the gameplay director. It's just they don't.
Yeah.
It's just whatever reason.
Yeah.
What is the word? Steel City Interactive has some kind of like a blitz around it, if that's the right word. Yeah. They're trying to hide it.
Yup.
Instead of take accountability for it, right? But the AI bot went on to say the question of a better gameplay designer remains a point of contention within the Undisputed community. The current lead on moment-to-moment combat mechanics, to provide a more accurate answer of who designs the actual field of the game. It goes back to the hands-on work of refined current and physics animation and combat balance is handled by the internal design team, which we called out a couple of weeks ago. We got all their names, right? Yeah. And specifically the combat engineer. So now they started talking about the combat engineer or the lead combat designer. And so when they started talking about it, I said, okay, well, so who then would be an ideal candidate to take on this role of gameplay designer for the purpose of making a boxing simulation video game? And its response was, in 2026, an ideal candidate for the lead gameplay design of a boxing simulation would need to bridge the gap between traditional fighting game mechanics, bracket, frame data, hitbox, and the chaotic physics-based reality of a professional sport. While Steel City Interactive's current design leadership is headed by Jason Darby.
What?
Jason Darby, head of design.
You read the book writer?
Yes, Jason Darby, head of design. All this information there is like, but we knew this, right? Because we were talking about who are all the people involved, not the gameplay, but who are, if we go beyond the gameplay director, who are the people involved in the gameplay design? And so even they're saying this guy's the head. Leadership headed by Jason Darby, following the archetypes or specific industry figures often identified by the community and analysts for ideal for involving the game. But this name, Jason Darby, and I remember on paper when I looked at it, I said, well, this guy he ain't no Mike Wang.
No, not at all.
His design comes from like, if you look at his resume and stuff, his design in terms of, he's created like different kind of these kind of RPG, fantasy kind of RPG, but we're talking about sports.
Yeah.
We're talking about sports simulation kind of thing, right? So going back to so this kind of going square circle, this thing about until Still City, like the fact they don't have a game. If they want to say they don't have one, but if it's will, the game cannot evolve, man. When you have people, I would say, I'm not gonna say they're professional. You don't have to. He's not a professional athlete, but I don't like if you don't like sports, if you don't want to even play sports even on a bantam level, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Or anything, you're not gonna have that. You're not gonna have that motivation to make a proper boxing game. It's really they don't have nobody. They don't have nobody. Well, they have somebody, and they want to say there's somebody else, but there's nobody, man. They're just playing. They're really playing. They're just making everyone a fool. They're playing the fool with everybody, man.
They plan us like we're kids. That's the whole thing with Still City. That's why another reason why I push for the survey, so you could see your player base. You could see that everybody is not a kid, and they know everybody's not a kid. It's the majority are adults, but they plan us like we're kids.
Well, think about it. When Jay said that they announced who this they have a new gameplay director, or whatever, and we can't get a name. It's just, they made an announcement. Okay, well, where's the announcement? And the thing is, as we keep on digging, we ain't gonna find nothing. We're finding announcements about management positions, but not a gameplay, not somebody who's involved in gameplay direction or gameplay director. The game lacks a proper gameplay director, man.
Yeah. Well, my thing is they got too many gameplay directors. That's EA type stuff. You don't need that many gameplay directors.
What do you mean? They only have one. It's
they got too many management roles.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, too many management roles. They need more actual developers that's actually doing development. They paying people for no reason, and them people, the directors and stuff, they get a salary, and them some big checks.
Oh, for sure. But did we ever talk specifically who are the current developers?
No, we never brought that up. I don't want to put names out there because I don't want to,
Yeah, but are your names the programmers or the developers?
They all considered developers. And believe it or not, some of me be calling people like Jay Shep and CB a developer.
What?
Yeah, people be saying that too. They call them developers.
Well, technically, if from what I remember, who's the community manager again?
CB and Seth.
Both of them?
And Jay Shep. Jay Shep, but he's a community manager.
Okay, so Jay Shep, who's the other person? CB?
Yep, CB and Seth.
So those three people.
And that's too many people. That's too many people to be community manager.
Well, here's the thing now. If they are the community manager, that means they have certain access levels.
Yeah.
In terms of let's just say as simple as Discord, then, right? Or whatever tools they have there that's collecting data. Be it chat conversation, being from comments, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this is a hard question to ask. You don't have to answer it, but do any of those three people actually go and collect the data and sit down there, analyze it, and come up with results after? No. Is that something because that, to me, it could be an extension of that role, but who the hell is doing that to figure out? And this all goes back to your whole argument about the survey.
Yeah. That's what they should be pushing for. That's what I used to do as a community leader and community senior moderator. I was in training to be a community manager, but my mouth.
Or are we giving them too much credit? And reality is they're just babysitters. That's the main thing. They're just babysitting those forums.
They are babysitters. That's exactly what they're doing. They're not. It sounds good to say we're gathering information and stuff like that, but they're not. They're not gathering information. They're not gathering this. They probably hear us saying stuff or they see it, but they're not gathering it and giving it to developers and stuff. Nah, they're just going through the motions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, who is really that middle person they're working with?
It's nobody.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, at least I know some people don't like Steve's. At least Steve seemed like he was moving the needle, making it seem like he was doing things. And they not making it seem like they're doing nothing.
Well, he was getting closer to it, but more from a what do you call it? I want to say like a service ticket kind of mind frame.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we're creating the cases, and then from there, okay, let's look at these cases now and try to figure out what's going on. So that was a good starting point. But the fact that it's a good thing you mentioned, because since they got rid of him, nobody has ever tried to reapply that whole concept, man, to show you how either it's a lack of awareness of these people, or simply they don't get it.
But that makes me think that that's one of the reasons why they got rid of him, because nobody followed what the blueprint that he set up.
Well, it's accountability, and
they didn't want that accountability,
and they don't want anybody to see it.
Exactly. But they're stupid. I mean, they're, for them to be adults and stuff, they're stupid, because the thing is, the investors and publishers will sign off more, say, hey, we see what the fans want. Because they keep saying, well, the publishers, holding back certain things, but they won't hold back certain things because publishers are all only guessing what they know. And what they know is what happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But when you got documentation, say, hey, we were wrong, because they're trying to make money. That's their thing. It's all about money. But nobody's telling them nothing.
What's gonna hurt Steel City and I think they'll have to learn it the hard way, man. But there's a saying about there's I don't know, that there's a saying, okay, for every good there's gonna be a bad kind of thing, one of those kind of sayings, right? And the thing is, the sales of this game is fooling them.
Yeah,
it's fooling them, man. It's like they're fooling them, and because of that, it's gonna push them. And that's what I was saying. When that Undisputed 2 comes around the corner, all they're trying to do is they're really, I think at this point, they're just trying to fix. They just want to say, okay, we're gonna fix online play, because they think that they already think that this is a good product already, right?
Yeah.
So as long as they get rid of, okay, well, yeah, we saw a quick glitch, and whatever else happens with online, but they're not. But you see, they're not really going in the direction of how to fix the gameplay, or how to get that gameplay to mirror what the sport of boxing, really, right?
Yeah. But that's basically saying that it can't be fixed.
Well, they're saying it can't be fixed the way that, I guess, the coding efficiency then.
Yeah.
Of the program is how they did it, right?
But I think it's lazy, because what's called OBSI? I don't know how he says his name, but they're like doing Undisputed. So how is they going in there? Even though he's saying the same thing I said, but he's working with what he knows. It shows that the developers are lazy, because he said he's going to make things work, but he said it's still a lot of damage done with the coding.
Well, here's a good one. What do you think the mindset of those guys going to Undisputed 2, and this is important, is their mindset that we're trying to port, or the mindset we're actually trying to design a game?
They're gonna
at this point,
because it's whatever's easy for them. They don't want to do no work. Yeah. They don't want to do no work. And the same problem's gonna follow, because you literally put in problems into another system. And it's not no guarantee that Unreal Engine is gonna fix the holes that they got in the coding that's in that, might actually add more problems, because it's a different system altogether. Yeah, so I'm like, yo, they just need to come out like I was telling Jay, and he should make the video, or anybody that's listening to this show that makes videos, tell Steel City to pull the Band-Aid off. Just strip it off, rip it off, and say, hey, we moving on to Undisputed 2. You know, they're
Yeah,
hey.
but okay, but going back to those creators then, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, man, the way they have those guys, man, none of those creators are really on the level of say, okay, we're doing unbiased product reviews. That's not their role for what this game is about, right? Their role is something else.
Yeah.
Their role is really to get eyes on the game. That's all they care about, man.
Yeah.
As long as they get eyes, their role is not to say that, okay, these are the problems of the game, right?
Yeah.
And it needs to be like, they might say it once in a while, but their strategy is, I got to get eyes on the game.
Yeah.
I got to get try, and that's all they care about. So it doesn't matter how this game ends up being. It's just as long as you get eyes on the game and traffic, that's therefore they have accomplished their goal as a content creator.
Yeah. That's that game changer mentality.
Yeah, that's it. Game changer. And what does 2K call it? They have a name for it too. It's the exact same program, but they don't call it Game Changer down at 2K.
Yeah, I forgot. Dad, going. I realized that 2K did have to copy that concept, but they didn't have. It was different the way they have it.
And based on Claimer Uncut, when he exposed the a lot of people have exposed it before, but he's the most recent video that came out showing you how you have these content creators, but their tongue is tied. Because again, their role is they're not there to be they're not there to be a developer. They're just there
be a mouthpiece
get
for
eyes in the game.
The community.
Yeah, that's it. A political mouthpiece as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really goes back. If you think about it, think about all the content creators that went to Vegas. There's an echo. They all echo the same thing. What do you guys expect us to do? We cannot go out there and, let's just say, we can't go out there and really, I don't want to say hostile, but we cannot go there and create a hostile environment.
But Will is that's why we said Will is a great. They gonna defend Will for some reason. I don't know what Will don't get him or whatever, but Will is good at picking people. Will pick the right people. But a great community manager, he would have picked some of each. He would have picked somebody like me, you, Beast, or something like that.
For what?
But I think Beast kind of.
No. But if you say me, you, and Beast, for what? For what kind of role? To do what those guys are doing?
Like with the content creators, like they should have had us there because we're opinionated. The most opinionated person. You want a difference in like a feedback to be there.
Yeah, that's the thing. They would never. They don't have that. The philosophy at Steel City ain't that. That's not their philosophy, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They won't do that because also too. It's also being afraid of criticism.
Yeah. That's why we might never get a what's calling from them, a survey.
Think about it. What's his name? Ash. Ash went from a very let's just say like with all those developer blogs where he was really outspoken, talking thing.
Passionate.
Now
he was real passionate.
Now he's not saying anything, and that's because, and I'm gonna say he's afraid. He's still, although we say that he hasn't listened to all these people, that nobody should be able to shut his mouth. Especially somebody at Will's level who's actually below him, has no business, cannot control. But the thing is, so what it is they're all afraid. They're afraid to talk, but you see, they can hide behind a million sales.
Yeah, they're afraid to talk because you can say the wrong thing, and the investors. Now that's the thing. The investors are watching them, publishers watching them. So they really got to watch what they say.
But they don't care about also too giving hope to the community that we're listening to your feedback. And these are the changes coming up.
They
They're
don't
not
know
doing it.
how to. I kind of respect that part of it, that you're not letting us get too excited. You got some of them people that they build the excitement, like you got these content creators. They build excitement that's not there. Talking about they'll make better community managers and stuff like that. Somebody said that, I was like, yo, man, yo, that's crazy.
But going back to how they somebody mentioned about the content creators and Will, at the end of the day, man, the reason why also too, there's also that thing about what's that saying go, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
That's the game going on, right?
Yeah. Lamont said when Undisputed 2 comes out, the game will not sell. It's not going to sell that well. It's going to sell, but not that well. It's not going to do 100 copies in a week. I can't see that happening.
You know what? Also too, that they're not kind of foreseeing. So with Undisputed 1, you have the hardcore fan base.
Yeah.
And because they're buying the game, it's basically making the casual fans want to follow suit because of that, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm 100% that's what's going on, because if there was no hardcore fan base, you wouldn't have all this stuff going on. You wouldn't see all this stuff on YouTube and so, right? But they're just following our lead. But what's going to happen is if Steel City keeps on the path that they are and they alienate the hardcore fan base, we're not going to end up like what's his name, Lamont. Lamont's right. Like we're not going to end up buying it, and then the guys who followed us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're not going to buy it because it's not, because they're going to say, well, this ain't really popular.
Yeah, and then what's going to happen is they're not going to get them numbers like they had for the first week, and they're going to see that the game is not selling after 2 or 3 weeks. That's what happened with EA. The investors and everybody, they got mad because Fight Night Champion didn't make them numbers.
And you know what? With EA, the excuse we could give them was that it was back in the earlier stages of we talking about 2011, right? And a little bit and a little before that. Those are still, I want to say, still the early stages of the internet.
I think
it was around. I'm going to say it was around 1999 where the internet, well, 1997ish, right? Where the internet really started. Okay, now people are believing it and people are starting to make use of it. We're in when Steel City came on the scene with this game. Let's just say with just the early access or even the alpha. That's all during the maturity of the internet. So everybody's communities are forming on the internet, right? Yeah. So there's so much feedback they're getting without having to go and create big focus groups, spend big kind of money and all this kind of stuff. They're getting it. It's coming to your doorstep, but you're what's the word? It's on your doorstep. You're taken for granted. You don't get it.
Yeah. But with EA, they had the wish list. They had that was things that I was doing in the forums and stuff. So they didn't have no excuse. I was getting data from them, heavy. I was gathering data.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think that goes back to what we're saying. What are the other community managers doing? You know what I mean?
Exactly. They have too many. Because with EA, they had, I think, about 15. And I think EA has like 50. I looked it up. I think 50 or 25 major games that the community managers had to like watch over. But Steel City has one game and they got 3 managers. That's weird.
If anything, man, who is their lead of recruitment? Whoever that lead of recruitment is, you got to kind of, if we were to look at some kind of indicators that, okay, something is wrong on how they're doing the hiring, all we have to do is look at the one currently on their website where they're trying to hire somebody who's an office manager, but the reality is they also want you to be the custodian.
Yeah, that's
You know
crazy.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Whoever came up with that job posting is it's like they're falling asleep. It's two different roles. So you can imagine, okay, if that person's also involved on the other side where who they're hiring, you know what I mean?
yeah,
They don't know.
yeah. My thing is, Ash, when he used to talk, he used to like, he wanted to challenge EA. He said, you know, I'm gonna make my game better than EA. I want them to challenge me, you know, that type of talk. But then he started hiring EA guys and 2K guys. I'm all right with the 2K guys, but I don't think he hired nobody from 2K. I think he just talked to somebody from 2K. But the EA guys, we know they hired EA guys. But my thing is, if you were so against them, why did you start hiring them? Because of Will.
Yeah.
That's 1%. It had to be Will.
Is it fair to say that there's cancer? They have a cancer there?
Yeah, 1%. Real bad he's bad for the company. I can't see Steel City. I hope they prove me wrong, but I can't see them doing any better. I can't see them doing better on Unreal Engine. For one, the communication is trash. And they keep saying people gonna keep pushing back. That's your job. You signed up for. People going to push back. But you gotta sit there and take it. No, it ain't like nobody touching you. You gotta take it.
Look at and you know what too? Look at the difference in their when they wanted our money, they're doing all these developer vlogs and stuff.
Yeah, we getting roadmaps and everything.
When they wanted our money. Once they got the money, as you said, all the communication is dead now.
Yeah, that's
They
dead.
got the money.
Yeah. I'm like, there's no hope for combat sports games. Nah, man, don't do that to every sports game. Don't say well, combat. Don't say that, man.
Yo, well, hey, talking about now to precisely mention that, a good example. I don't want to say no hope, but I want to say
For the mainstream,
misleading the public, man. I saw there's this Muay Thai game. I think it's called Muay Thai Extreme, and I think they just dropped some new footage. And when I looked at the new footage, man, people are raving and everyone's like, oh, this could be, you know, first thing people think is, how can I take this Muay Thai game and just turn it into a boxing game, or like people want to play UFC 5 and just do stand and bang because they want it, they like the gameplay, but they want it to kind of play like more like a boxing and no grappling stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw the Muay Thai game, it looked good. But the reality is, all it was cinematics. It was a cinematic trailer. It had nothing to do with the gameplay, but they're fooling people already, making you think like that. Okay, this is how the game's gonna play. When the reality is, it was an animation movie. It was an anime.
Dad. So
it was an anime. You know, when I say anime, it's an animation commercial. Nothing. You know, like, you know, when you put the disclaimer at the bottom, this is not the actual gameplay. It's one of those.
Yeah.
So they haven't even showed any real kind of game. Everything, and I think with the first trailer that came out, you even picked that up. I think that was one you think a lot of people I even asked you about it, right? And I think you saw it too. It's just just non-gameplay footage. They're selling you cutscenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the funny thing is what the whole idea of cutscenes, at least Claimer and Cut, those are not cuts. He in the very, very beginning he showed cutscenes, but now he's showing us more and more gameplay footage, you know what I mean? Or the alpha footage. We're seeing that. And I don't know why people are not picking up on that. When Claimer's showing some good stuff now. It's starting to come out, right?
Yeah.
Gameplay footage. I know we didn't get to touch it yet, but you're seeing the gameplay footage, and not cinematic cutscenes.
That's why I was like when Precisely said there's no hope for combat sports games. That's when I was like, nah, Claymont Cut got something. And what's that Tell of the Tape? It looked like it could be all right.
But what's stopping them? Tell it the tape. Like what's stopping them? Is it, or is it just it's just we're it's
Probably
just
time and money.
can't rush it.
Time and money. That's the thing. 'Cause a lot of these guys probably doing these things after they get off home from work or on the weekends. It's probably not their full focus thing. Like Love C Shorty. Love C Shorty, he got a job. And he said he was trying his best to just be a regular developer, but he said he couldn't because he wanted to really making money off the game.
Time and money. Time and money. Do you think we were saying that okay, a lot of bringing in Will brought in a lot of those EA guys, right?
Yeah.
Would that have helped them when they went to the investor meeting to get the money? I would think so. Just say,
No, what
look at my roster.
yeah,
Look at my roster. I
that's
have all these
part of
guys.
it. No, the
Okay.
roster by itself was did it because when I was, when I talked to
I don't mean the boxing roster. I mean their employee roster. In terms of okay, these are guys that
no,
we're
they
trying to
got
sell
them.
it that we're bringing EA knowledge into in-house now.
Yeah, but they had
Therefore, it looks like we know what we're doing.
yeah, but they had that ESBC trailer before they hired them EA guys. So that's what's got the investors. That right there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what got them. And now it was smart. It was smart too because they see that they gonna throw the money. Anybody would have threw money at it, and then everything went downhill right after that. The investors probably think that's still what they got. They don't play no games. They don't play them games. But that's why I say the survey. They will see the survey documentation. They will definitely see that. But everybody said it's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work. Like they actually did it and it did a survey and it didn't work.
You know what's funny about surveys too? When we think about Undisputed, the last time I remember they did a survey was last year. I don't know, it was January or February of 2025.
It was an actual survey or poll.
Well, they what do you call it? They had got people to do the what do you call it? The gameplay test, right?
Yeah.
And then from the gameplay test, okay, here's a form. Fill in your observations, whatever,
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember that.
But here's the thing: if they had the community doing that, how come you don't have anybody within Steel City come out now and say, okay, they analyzed it and now they're gonna talk to the community about it? There was never like a simple thing as that. So that means. So if they can't do a simple thing, does that mean that they just took that they collected it just for show, or maybe they did do the work and then they're using it somewhere? I don't know. I personally think it was for show. I don't think because you're not
That's
hearing them
exactly
discussing
what it was because I didn't see none of that because I think I was one of them people that was filled out one of them and I didn't see no changes.
And here's the thing too. They can't really use the EA excuse yet to say, okay, well, EA is this big corporation.
They tried. They try it all the time.
Kind of thing. Although Steel City is a large studio, they only make one game.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's all. And that should be their only focus. So like
they should have a flawless game because there is one game they got. It should be flawless. And I'm not the only one saying that. They say, hold up, they're not making no other games? No, they're only working on boxing. Oh, this game should be almost flawless. But it's very flawed. They got 3 studios. One they want to call a facility. and the game is looking like an afterthought.
Here's a good one for you. When they went to that investor meeting, right? So they
Yeah.
have, and so they're demoing the alpha and all so on. So do you think that the what's it called? Nova, what was the name of the two investors they got money from? One was Nova something.
Novatar and because it's LVP.
London VP or
Yeah,
London LP.
yeah.
Do you think that, okay, as they're so they go and they pitch a presentation, you know what I mean, and they showed up. Do you think at some point the people they're asking the money from, they'll have their team of auditors that'll do a kind of pre-inspection, not just not just testing the game, but they might even go, okay, let me see what the guts of this game looks like, because they would sign an NDA anyways, so you can't steal the intellectual from it. But the
Yeah.
thing is, do you think that at that stage they would actually have their own team and kind of see what does this coding look like? And the reason I'm asking this is because that's the running excuse we hear from everybody, is that when they designed this game on Unity, the excuse was it was coded so poorly that they couldn't really implement it now for online play purposes after. So I don't know if I'm framing it right, but do you think somebody, before they were awarded that money, somebody from London and somebody from Novatar or whatever, they would have had somebody that, okay, let me look to see how badly coded this game is?
No, I don't think they
No.
went that far. The visuals was good enough for them. It's a game, but that's what when I was asking for all them sponsors, they just wanted the game. Nike, they wanted the game. And that's crazy. What's had Nike for some, I don't know how he did it. The guy, he had Nike, and he was telling me I can't do, because I did hobby doing pictures and stuff, and I said just do it. He said don't do that. You're gonna mess up my contract. I said what contract? He said we got Nike. So he's like, stop, don't do that. They're gonna say something. He couldn't like reveal it until he like really had the game model and stuff. But I was like, Dad, how you get Nike? It's getting all these different contracts, but their thing is a lot of them they just want the game model. They don't care about the gameplay and all that. As long as they see you got something that looks beautiful. Undisputed looked it beautiful.
Yo, what are the chances are that all these positions you see they're hiring for Unreal, for Unreal programmers and stuff? What if it's just, okay, yeah, they're putting it, maybe they're just kind of sensing everything. But the thing is, what are the what I'm asking is, what are the chances that they won't release it, period? Because they already made the money and they just don't want to reinvent the game. So they realize, okay, well, what's the point of porting it then,
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see something like that happening too. And it'll make everybody they will go bananas.
Well, peer-to-peer, running the peer-to-peer protocol server, that thing is cheaper than actually getting dedicated servers. So
Yeah.
that's a pro right there. The game is it's doable. We ain't paying too much for this peer-to-peer shit. And we
Yeah,
already we made all this money. Why should we go our way now to even port this fucking game?
But the thing is, the coding is it's gonna start collapsing. The coding, even though if you try to fix it, basically you gotta rebuild they basically gotta rebuild the game. And I guess they're like, if we gotta rebuild, we might as well just do Unreal Engine.
Let me leave you with this, and I'm just gonna listen in the background. I always bring up this. Although this game was developed on an earlier version of Unreal, there's a game for PS4, and it's a volleyball game. It's the only volleyball game I think on the PS4, and that thing was developed on Unreal Engine. And if you ever play that game, it has the same problem we're seeing with Unity and Undisputed, where you're seeing the things are not connecting. So the thing is, just because they're claiming to move to Unreal Engine, doesn't mean that doesn't mean that punch punch is not connecting, or it's not registering. Doesn't mean it's going to go away, because as I said, PS4 volleyball, anyone go out there and buy it. The game is so bad that it has to sell for $5 now, because if you can imagine, when you play volleyball, you have to bump the ball. Well, when you bump the ball, it's bumping, but your arms ain't connecting to the ball, just like an Undisputed.
Yeah, but that right there go with development too. It depends on who's developing something. Some people have more expertise at certain things than, because they could, if they're a generic company, they're a generic company.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that it's not an automatic that it's gonna solve these issues we're seeing right now. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
You could still have it in an Unreal environment.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the things that they're looking at, what's more beneficial to make a game that it grab more people and visually and stuff like that. So I guess that's their thing, visually, and you have more what they call it, systems. What's gonna have more systems than Unity?
Yo, when you say grab more people, what do you mean by that?
Attract more fans to the game.
But which demographic? More casuals, or more hard, or more
actual casuals love visuals. Casuals love visuals over gameplay. To me, the hardcore fans, they love gameplay over visuals.
So here's the thing, though. This might be a bad analogy, but you ever looked at what happened to the WWE when they got bought up by TKO?
No.
So when they got bought up by TKO, one of the biggest things about their product was that TKO is trying to figure out ways how to, just like how you said, how to get that other audience, how to reach the audience. So what's going on right now with that company is that they've forgotten the hardcore community, and because they're trying to tap into that other market. They're trying to tap into that, what you said. How did you call it? You call it the
I forgot. I be talking so much, I don't forgot.
But they're trying to tap into that market, right? Yeah. And what happened, and what they do by tapping, okay, we're gonna jack the prices up. We're not satisfied with our actual community, because we're trying to branch out now to find more money. We're trying to find bigger wallets, bigger bank accounts.
Yeah.
And what's going on now? Slowly, they're starting to realize that it was wrong to do that. It was greed. Greed made them do that, and they're losing touch with their actual fan base is.
And you start losing everything.
You saw that. So this is what I'm saying. Like this kind of you could kind of loosely connect it to Undisputed.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening. And they feel like, hey, we can't force hardcore fans to accept what we giving them. Now we got to try to find a way to, they're basically doing what EA used to be doing. There is worse, because EA used to be trying to balance it, and it's not, and all that. When what Ash was saying, I was like, I wish I was there, because I would have been like, Ash, you're giving us the wrong information. All that stuff Ash was saying. When I was talking to EA, they said, good luck with that, because it's hard to balance. Now, EA, they was going to make their games arcade. They're going to have a little bit of realism in there, but it's going to be more arcade than anything. That's EA model. That's why they stopped making basketball games because they refuse to make it realistic.
That's true. That's very true.
But that's crazy though. You be like, if I can't make it how I want to make it, I ain't making nothing. That's crazy. Because the NBA didn't take their license from them. It's EA. EA just said we're not making a realistic. I mean,
yeah, basically the hardcore basketball fan base took the license from them, but they said you guys are done.
Yeah. They ain't want. They're like, nah, we ain't making that.
But yo, let me ask you this: in terms of recent sports games, video game, it could be from whatever decade you want to say. What would have been a good example of a company that all they did was they just give us graphics and they forgot about the gameplay? Like, what are good examples of that?
When you say sports game?
Well, yeah, we'll stick to sports games because but the whole thing with sports game, we're trying to simulate this. We want to simulate the sport
and graphics.
Instead of it, they just say, okay, we're gonna give you blockbuster graphics, but we don't. But but we're not gonna really care about the game because we just want to give you visuals. What would have been a good example of that any decade of a game that really messed up doing that?
Far as graphics, I'll say NBA 2K. NFL 2K.
No, but NFL 2K,
we got presentation and everything.
They gave us everything. That was the total package.
Yeah,
that was the total package for $19.99.
Yeah, yup. We got everything for that.
But I want the one where it was just we're gonna fool you,
just with graphics.
Yeah,
EA did that. Fight Night Round 3. They did what's called them on us. They had this trailer. It was a trailer, and we thought that's what we was getting for Fight Night Round 3. The graphics look like what we got, similar to what we got now. And we're like, yeah. And everything was sensualized and everything, they made the punches look over the top. It was like it was cinematics, and they had us believing we was getting that, and we didn't get that at all. We got some generic looking stuff.
So cinematics, I think.
Cinematics.
That's one of the indicators when they do that. So, for example, I want to go back to I don't know, is it 8-bit or 16-bit? If we think about and there were fun games, but the Temco games, the Temco football, the Temco basketball.
Yeah.
A lot of it was cinematics kind of thing, and we just have to accept that 2D gameplay. And if you remember, what eventually happened to Temco, people liked the game. It was fun. It had the license and everything, but the thing is, for whatever reason, they thought they could stick with a 2D representation of the sport, while the basketball games and the football games were all starting to head towards 3D.
Yeah.
And Temco didn't want it. They just kind of stuck with that formula, thinking, okay, we could keep on as long as we give them that. You're gonna go dunk the ball, and it's just gonna be a big cinematic and not the actual gameplay.
Yeah, I remember that stuff.
Like, if you think about it, the first ever real basketball game we got that started going towards the sim, it was NCAA basketball, the very first one that came out, and I think that came out for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you would never think that Super Nintendo, like when we started really seeing 3D games for home consoles, when PlayStation and N64 came out, but Super Nintendo 16-bit Nintendo, NCAA basketball. That's the first time you ever saw.
Atari had a basketball game too,
but not 3D.
Oh no, not 3D,
NCAA. That's the first 3D basketball, and surprisingly on a 16-bit system. So the question is now, if Super Nintendo was capable of doing that, why did Temco kept on pushing out these friggin' these 2D style sports games with cinematics?
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah. All right, Paul. I'm gonna take off. I'm just gonna listen in the background.
All right.
All
AJ
right.
Tax is leaving the building.
All right.
All right.
Good talking to you.
All right.
And good seeing everybody there in the chat there too, man. All right. Gone. Let me make sure. Okay, good. There's only one button.
When scarcity, that means lowers standards. When scarcity changes behavior, when people go a decade without a boxing game, gratitude replaces scrutiny. Many fans aren't defending the game. They're defending access to boxing at any cost. At least we have something, that these are talking points. Let me get to the nitty gritty. Why settling hurts the game? Why do fans accept broken systems and boxing games more than any other sports? Because boxing fans are conditioned by absence. After a decade with nothing, expectation quietly reset. Is it wrong for players to enjoy the game despite its flaws? No. Enjoyment isn't the problem. Defensiveness is. You can enjoy something while demanding better. That's what I be telling people. You can enjoy it and demand better, but a lot of people enjoy it and say nothing. They enjoy broken games and they say nothing. They make the game work for their benefit. They play around the flaws and the broken mechanics. Why do fans repeat developers' excuses on their behalf? Because scarcity creates identification with the studio. Criticizing the game feels like risking its survival. How does playing a certain way hides design flaws? How does playing a certain way that's Ash saying? When players avoid systems that don't work, these systems never generate negative data. The game appears functional on paper. When players avoid systems that don't work, those systems never generate negative data. The game appears functional on paper. Why should a company fix something if players already adapt to it? They shouldn't. From a business standpoint, that's exactly the problem. Why should a company fix something if players already adapted to it? They shouldn't. From a business standpoint, that's exactly the problem. What's the difference between mastery and compensation? Mastery deepens systems. Compensation avoids them. Why do house rules harm long-term development? Why do house rules harm long-term development? Because internalization responsibility. Because they internalize because they internalize responsibility. The burden shifts from the developer to the player base. The burden shifts from the developer to the player base. Why does this lead to stagnation patches instead of real improvements? Because patches respond to pain points. If pain is muted by player behavior, urgency disappears. Why does this lead to stagnation patches instead of real improvements? Because patches respond to pain points. If pain is muted by player behavior, urgency disappears. Why do some fans attack critics instead of demanding fixes? Because criticism threatens the fragile idea that this is good enough. Because criticism threatens the fragile idea that this is good enough. How does scarcity blur the line between feedback and loyalty? Loyalty becomes silence. Silence gets mistaken for satisfaction. Is this unique to boxing games? No, but it's amplified in boxing because the genre vanished for so long. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Nothing. All right. When messages, what message does "it'll get better later" sends to the studio? That timelines don't matter. What message does "it'll get better later" sends to the studio? That timelines doesn't matter. Who do companies lean into? Why do companies lean into this mindset? Because it lowers development risk. Minimum viability systems become maximum acceptable output. Why do some fans equate criticism with wanting the game to fail? Why do some fans equate criticism with wanting the game to fail? Because scarcity creates fear of replacement rather than confidence in improvement. How does this hurt future boxing games? Not just the current one. It sets a precedent. New studios learn how low the bar is. Yes, it set a precedent. New studios learn how low the bar is. Hard truth talking points. All right. What do fans fear? Why do fans fear pushing too hard? Because they've been trained to believe the opportunity won't come again. Why do fans fear pushing too hard? Because because they've been trained to believe this opportunity won't come again. What's the danger of confusing patience with support? Patience delay pressure. Pressure drives change. How should players respond instead of self-policing? Document issues. Ask for systems, not nerves. Demand structure. What roles do content creators play in this role? They either challenge normalization or they legitimize it. When does adaptation cross into enabling? When it replaces feedback instead of supplementing it. Let me see. Give me a second. are these deep dives. Long periods without a boxing game reshapes expectation. When players go years without a boxing title, the standards shift from quality to availability. The moment a game finally appears, it benefits from relief rather than evaluation. That relief suppresses criticism because people are grateful the genre is alive again. Over time, emotional response replaces object assessment, and design flaws are framed as growing pains instead of failures. Presence alone starts to feel like quality. Presence alone, just the presence of a boxing game, fans equate that to quality. When existence is rare, it gets confused with excellence. Players subconsciously think if this is all we have, it must be good enough. This is dangerous because they remove the normal com- comparison process. Without alternatives, the bar doesn't just lower, it disappears. Studios then get credit for showing up rather than delivering. Studios just showing up rather than delivering is good enough for some fans. And it's infecting a lot of fans. Fans demand existence, not decisions. Many arguments in defense of boxing games aren't about mechanics or systems, they're about survival. Players aren't saying the systems work, they're saying they don't want to risk losing the only game available. The emotional attachment causes fans to act as gatekeepers instead of advocates. And that bothers me a lot. At least we got one blocks accountability. The deep dive. That phrase ends conversations because they start. That phrase ends conversations before they start. It reframes criticism as ingratitude and paints accountability as entitlement. Once that framing takes hold, developers don't even have to respond. The community policing itself. Minimum efforts become progress. When expectations are lowered, incremental updates feel larger than they are. Cosmetic changes get mistaken for system improvements. The roadmap looks busy, but the foundation stays the same. Over time, progress becomes performative rather than structural. And this is the thing. Cosmetics changes get mistaken for system improvement. People keep asking for cosmetics. They keep asking for boxers instead of the systems being improved. That's the problem. We need boxers. We need more boxers. No, why are you not asking for systems improvements? Broken systems get accepted, not fixed. If a system is flawed but optional, players simply avoid it. That avoidance removes friction from gameplay, metrics, making systems appear fine internally. It no longer registers as a problem worth fixing, even though it failed its design purpose. House rules erase urgency. House rules feel responsible, but they quietly remove pressure from the studio. Every workaround is a signal that players are willing to do the designer's job over time. Those workarounds become cultural norms. and fixing the root issue becomes unnecessary from a business standpoint. When people say, well, they're not doing this and they're not doing that, you helping them with a workaround. We work around. They don't have to fix it. All you got to do is do this and do that in the ring. No. We got to make them fix the game. Company responds to pressure, not patience. Game development is resource driven. Team prioritize what threatens engagement, retention, and revenue. Patience communicates tolerance. When you're patient, it communicates tolerance. Pressure communicates priority. Without sustained visible dissatisfaction, nothing moves up the list. Without sustained visible satisfaction, nothing moves up the list of priorities. Bypass systems don't exist in leadership reports. Executives don't watch gameplay. I was talking about that earlier. They read dashboards. If players work around flaws, those flaws don't show up as pain points. Engagement looks healthy, so leadership assumes systems are successful. That's what I keep telling people, but they keep doing the workarounds and stuff. All right, let me read one more, then I'm going to check the chat and see what y'all saying. Fear replaces confidence. Fear replaces confidence. After years without a boxing game, criticism feels dangerous. Players worry that pushing too hard might kill support altogether. That fear creates compliance. Instead of demanding better, fans protect what they have, even if it's flawed. Silence gets mistaken for approval. I read that. Let me see. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Nothing. I think I might end the show right now, though. I think I did enough. Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to end the show, y'all. Hopefully nobody pop up while I'm about to salute to everybody that came through. I'm Precisely, Lamont Davis, Mike Adams. Shout out to AJ Pax, he was here. Shout out to Leafy, you wasn't here. Shout out to the regulars. You know, y'all probably would have popped in probably an hour from now or about a half an hour from now. But shout out to Don D 205. He's on Twitch, he's on Instagram, and he's on Twitter. Don D 205. Watch his content, support him, even if you just pop in and pop out. That's what I tell y'all. Support all the content creators. You know, pop in and pop out. You know, pop in there for probably about 5 minutes or, you know, whatever. Just pop in, pop out. You know, I appreciate everybody that pops in and pop out to my show. You know, yeah, shout out to Remy. Shout out to everybody. I know I missed y'all names today. I'm kind of tired. If y'all see me on screen, I've been yawning a lot. Yeah, but you know, see y'all on the next show tomorrow. Peace.